And what is going
Yes.
on YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. I am your host, JoJo Speaks from Victoria Ministries. Thank y'all so much for joining us for another week of great content, you guys. And first
Yes.
is our review for 90 Day Fiance. You
Mm,
guys, this is season 11, and this is episode 14. Episode 14. I got my
mm.
main man Dustin back here with me. How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing good. That's good. Ready for the recap tonight, Jonathan. Ready to get
Absolutely,
started.
absolutely. And I do like this group. I feel like I've
Yes.
liked other groups better, but I do like this group. This is a pretty
Mm,
good group. So I want to start out with first things first, y'all. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Press that big red subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. Takes less than a second to mash that thing. So why don't you go ahead and mash it for a brother? Give us a thumbs
yes.
up on this video. Let me know, or let us know rather, you are enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the couples that we're discussing tonight. How are you feeling about their storylines, and where do you see them in the future? Also, be sure to press the
Mm,
notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. Quick announcement before we get started: I will be posting my review for Housewives of Atlanta following this live. I'll be recording it and then posting
mm,
it. So at least by 7 p.m., my Housewives of Atlanta review will be up and out. So make sure you
Okay.
guys
Looking
check
forward
that
to it,
video
Jonathan.
out. Thank
Looking
you so
forward
much.
to it.
Thank you so much for that, Dustin. Make sure you guys check
Uh,
that out, like it, comment, all
uh,
that good stuff. So I want to start with the couple that you and I, Dustin, were
mm.
introduced to in this particular episode,
Right
which is
there.
Joanne and Greg. So Joanne seems to be from Africa. She
Right.
is living with Greg. I'm not sure if Greg's mother lives with them. She seems to be at the house quite a bit. And
She does live with them.
Okay, so
She
that
does.
makes sense. Greg seems to be a nice guy. We really didn't get much of Greg in this particular episode, besides the fact that he was going to work. He's getting back into the work field. He hasn't been working at an actual office or an actual physical place since 2020 when we had the pandemic, and so he's getting back out there. We saw Joanne cooking for him, making his lunch. She was cooking some chicken and she was cooking some other meats. Greg's mother seemed to be a nice woman initially. However, a little bit later on in the episode, Joanne had to go get her wedding dress fitted for her. She said that she wanted it to be a little bit snug, a little bit tighter on her body, and so excuse me, oh, I swallowed down the wrong hole there. Anyways,
You okay?
so I just got to take a second. Ooh, I got to take a second. All right. So Greg's mother, because Joanne does not have a driver's license here in America, Joanne's mother has been driving has been driving, not Joanne's mother, Greg's mother has been driving Joanne around a little bit to get her to the places where she needs to go, and all that good stuff. And Greg's mother seems to be, I use that word lightly, she seems to be excited about being involved in the whole wedding planning and being there for
Mm-hmm.
Joanne. It seems like she wants to have an integral part in Joanne's life, and I think that's really sweet. However, Joanne wanted to share this moment with her family. She was going to get onto a Skype call or some type of some type of a call of some type of nature on the computer, so that they'll be able to see the wedding dress and things of that nature. I'm not sure if Joanne just didn't want Greg's mother to be involved in that because her family was going to be there, and she didn't want her family to really see Greg's mother and how she operates, and how she kind of goes about things, because she doesn't really seem problematic to me until she told the camera after Joanne got out of the car to go into the wedding shop. She told the camera, she was very disappointed that Joanne didn't want to share this moment with her as her future mother-in-law. And but then she said something about payback. I don't know what she meant by that. I hope she wasn't really serious making that comment. Dustin, what are
Mm,
your thoughts on Joanne and Greg so far? How are you feeling about them? What are your thoughts on Greg's
mm.
mother? What are you thinking here?
Or I'm kind of thinking 50-50 with Joanne and Greg, because I think that I hope the best for Joanne and Greg. I really do. But the problem that I see is the mom. I see a problem that I have seen for the past couple uh episodes with Joanne and Greg because I think the mom is a little bit too much involved in the wedding planning. Yes, I would want if I was to get married, I would want my family involved as well. But I don't. I don't think she's realizing her family is not in the United States. Her family is in another country, and I think that her mom. I think the mom should have been involved in a little bit, but I think she's taking it overboard a little bit, Jonathan.
I can agree with that. Hey, Lady Virgo, we see Lady Virgo in the comments. Thank you so much for being
Hey,
here, my love.
Virgo.
So wonderful to see you. Yeah, that seems to be a common theme whenever parents seem to be involved in their child's relationships. It never
Right.
turns out to be a good thing. Lady Virgo says down in the comments, JoJo Speaks and Dustin Butler. Hey, hey, good
Hey,
evening
hey.
to you, handsome gentlemen, and good evening to you, Lady Virgo. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you down there in the comments with us. And Lady Virgo has another comment here. Let me snap a picture of it and bring it up. She says, JoJo Speaks. JoJo, go and grab your cup of water if you can. Yeah, I swallowed and it went down the wrong hole, but I'm good now. But thank you so much for caring, Lady Virgo. I appreciate it.
Hope you're okay,
But
Jonathan.
yeah, thank you so much. Greg's mother, she seems to be a sweet woman, and a lot of times when you have mothers who want to be an integral part of their child's life, a lot of times they end up overstepping their bounds. And the thing is, she hasn't really crossed the line yet, at least in my opinion, from what I saw in this first episode that I'm seeing this particular couple.
But I think you need to go. I think you need to go back and rewatch a couple episodes. She's already
Okay.
she's overstepped from me. She's already
Gotcha. Okay,
overstepped.
so I'll be sure to watch some earlier episodes, but um, I hope that she does not come in between Greg and Joanne. I
Right.
do like Greg and Joanne's kind of essence with each other, their chemistry.
Right.
They do come off as an actual couple to me. I do see the love between them. I do see that they are at least at the least they are friends, and so I do
Right.
like this couple. I like Joanne. She seems like a really really sweet woman. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that she's doing this for love. I hope that she's not just doing this to get a green card or to get a visa or to live over in America, because I
Mhm.
know that a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes when people in Africa end up in relationships with people in America, a lot of times they
Right.
just want to come to another country where it seems like they might have more opportunities, which is not a bad thing, but you don't want to try to manipulate someone into your plan of getting over to America when it may not have anything to do with your significant other. It's all about you and your choices and your plan to
Mhm.
live a better life. So it
Mhm.
is what it is. But I do like Joanne. I do like Greg. Greg seems like a really sweet guy.
Mhm.
I like him so far. So we'll see. And a lot of times when parents overstep their bounds, the child of that parent has a really, really hard time of telling their parent to back off. And I have a feeling that Greg will not have the ability to tell his mom to back off if and
Mhm.
when she does cross the line. And a lot of times when that happens, the significant in that relationship feels as though they're not being supported, feels as though they're not being heard, feels as though they're not being seen. And so I definitely, and
Mhm.
especially when it comes to us in the African American community, when we find ourselves in interracial relationships, a lot of times that sense of desertment, that sense of being ignored, that sense of not being seen or heard, cuts even deeper. So I hope that we do not have to see any of that. I hope that Joanne and Greg make a great couple. I hope that they live a happy
Right.
life, and I hope Greg understands that he is married to his wife and he's not married to his mother.
Sure.
And it's kind of hard to make that distinction, but as a grown person, you have to be able to make that distinction if you want your personal relationship with your significant other to work out the best way that it can. So
Right.
let's move on to our next couple. And we actually have a throuple here. We have Annie. Annie is 37, and Annie's from Mexico. We also have Matt. Matt is 36. Matt is from California. And then we have a third in their relationship, Amani, and Amani is from California as well. But Amani has a little bit of an accent, so I'm assuming that maybe she just lives in California, and she's probably originally from another place. But in this particular episode, they were meeting up
Mhm.
with Amani's ex, and Amani's ex revealed to them that her name is not is not what she's told them it is.
Mm-mm.
And apparently, Annie and Matt, they want to marry Amani. They want her to be a part of their relationship, or is it that? Or is it that Annie is looking to divorce from Matt? I was a little bit confused about that, Dustin. Do you have more information on that?
Annie is looking to divorce from Matt so they can get married to this to her name is Brenda, but they call her Annie, but her name is Brenda. Hmm.
Okay, okay, all right, gotcha. So, so they, yeah, that situation sort of kind of confuses me just a little bit. But I like the fact that I like the fact that that Annie is at least at least a part of the process of vetting Amani and trying to make sure that Amani is right for Matt. But Dustin, what are your thoughts on this throuple here? Because they were confusing to me, and this is the reason why I didn't bring them up in the previous episode because I wasn't really sure what I was watching. So Dustin, what are your thoughts on these three people? What are you thinking?
My thoughts are you thinking I think they're a little bit crazy, Jonathan. It drives me crazy. It drives me to another level tonight with this couple because I don't quite understand it, and I don't understand what's going on here. It's kind of hard for me to comprehend it because they have three people in one relationship, but I don't understand it because why do you hide your name? Her name is not. Her name is Brenda. So that's one thing. That's one red flag for me. Why do you hide your name? You don't say your real name in the first place. You're
Right.
telling them your name's Annie when your name's not Annie. Your name is Brenda. Let's just say that outright. That's not right to me at all. No thanks.
Right. And Amani, I really like the fact that Amani, you know, she wants the best for Matt, and she's looking out for him. And I like that she's kind of holding Annie's feet to the fire here. And you know, when you're not
Mm.
really open and not authentic about
You have to be open and honest with me, Jonathan, from period. If you're gonna be in a relationship with me or be my friend, you have to be honest with how you feel, open and honest with me, because that's the way I am, and I expect the same thing with the people that I involve myself with. So if you're not gonna be honest with you, then you're not gonna be, you know what I mean?
right.
That don't sit right with me.
Yeah, yeah, I do like Amani. Annie was, you know, she was ambushed. I will have to admit she was ambushed. She did not know that the conversation that was had at the table was actually going to happen. She was called out of the blue by her ex-boyfriend, and you know, she seemed a little bit, not a little bit. She was uncomfortable, and she actually started crying during this situation. And so, hopefully, I'll get a little bit more resolution out of their next couple of episodes, and I'll
Well,
have to go back and watch some
I,
previous episodes to kind of catch up with their
I'm really,
situationship.
to be honest with you, Jonathan, I'm really confused about this couple because I don't under, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I really don't understand it as well, which is once again why I need to look at some previous episodes, probably from the beginning, to be honest, and just take out the time to look at these episodes from the beginning because I'm really confused about this couple, this throuple. But let's move on to Marty and Stevie. So Marty and Stevie are going to a joint bachelorette party with some of Stevie's friends. Marty's friend Saeed is coming as well. And Saeed has really been kind of a voice for Mahdi in a way because
Mhm.
Mahdi, I feel like Mahdi is a little apprehensive about bringing things to Stevie's attention that kind of bother him, whereas Saeed is sort of kind of acting as his mouthpiece in a way to let Stevie know the issues that Mahdi has been having. But Mahdi seems really uncomfortable. They're going to a burlesque show. So
Mm,
burlesque is somewhat similar to stripping. However, burlesque there's more art to it. I'm assuming, and I don't think
right.
it's actual full nudity. I think there, you might see some breast, you might see a little here, a little there, but it's burlesque. It's a different type of thing. And so, while they were there, Marty's whole issue has been from the time that I've been watching this season of 90 Day Fiance, is that he's uncomfortable with the fact that Stevie might be bisexual. And the fact that Stevie planned this bachelorette slash bachelor party to go to a burlesque show it seems like that's what Stevie wants to see. It seems like that's what Stevie is interested in. And, I don't know why it would be
Mhm.
some big reveal if Stevie comes out and says, "Oh, yes, I am bisexual." Well, you're kind of
Mhm.
showing us a whole lot of signs that you are interested in the same sex, which that is no issue if that is your thing. It's just that you have to be open and honest with your significant other and let him know, because if that's an issue for him, he has to be able to make the decision as to whether he wants to stay with you or not. And I completely
Right.
understand. I completely understand his standpoint. I, for one, for a long time, I don't really feel the same way right now, but I, for one, for a long time, would always say that I was not interested in dating a bisexual man because, it's one thing to have to, compete with other men, but if I have to compete with other men and other women, which, I feel like I'm no match for a woman personally, to be honest, but I feel like my insecurities would not allow me to feel safe in that particular relationship. And maybe that's the same way that Marty is feeling. Marty is feeling that, maybe there's some of the things that women can do for Stevie. Marty might not be able to do those things for Stevie. And so I completely understand why he has so many reservations about this whole sexuality thing with Stevie. But, during this whole burlesque show, the women are taking off clothes, and this is a whole lot for Marty because Marty is from the Middle East. And, in his country, those types of things are not allowed. Those types of things do not go on.
Mhm.
And so Marty had to leave. And once he left, he was telling the camera people, this is a little bit too much for me. I don't know if I can handle all of this. And, I felt so bad for Marty. I felt so bad for him because, he seems like such a sweet guy. He's a really attractive man as well, to be honest, just my opinion, guys. But I just feel so bad that he looks so much like a fish out of water while he's with Stevie. And the thing is, I don't think Stevie is there to comfort him in those times where he's uncomfortable. Stevie's just like, oh, well, he'll get over it. Or, she hasn't said that, but that seems to be her attitude when it comes to Marty being uncomfortable with certain situations. And
Mhm.
it just hurts me because I feel as though Stevie does not have Marty's best interest at heart.
Mhm.
And when you're in a relationship, you have to have one another's best interest at heart if your relationship is going to be a healthy one. But Dustin, what were your
Right.
thoughts on this entire scene with them going to see the burlesque show, Marty leaving early, and Stevie seeming not to care because you would think that she would run after him and make sure he's okay, but she just stayed at the burlesque show to watch the rest of the show.
That just shows me that she does not care how he feels. He
Exactly.
does. She does not care on how he feels, and that's going to be. You guys are getting married, and I don't think that your marriage is going to last. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I don't think your marriage is going to last because uh he's not even got married to her yet, and she's already acting the way she's acting towards him now. So can you just imagine how it's going to be when they get married to each other?
Right.
I don't see it lasting, and I feel bad for him because it's a culture shock for him to even be here in the United States of America.
Very much
He's
so.
not he's not used to being here. He's used to being back in his country, and you sit there and you treat somebody like that that's not used to being in this country, and he has his own life back where he came from, and I think it would be better off if they would just break it off and go let him go live his life and let him go live her life.
Yeah, I really don't see the connection between Stevie and Marty. I
I
don't
don't blame
necessarily
him.
see the love or not even the friendship between the two. And
Mhm.
Saeed had heard a couple of things about Stevie's friend who was there as well. Hearing that the fact that Stevie might be bisexual, maybe Stevie and her friend have had some type of thing going on previously, and I love the fact that Saeed is looking out for Marty. I love the fact that Saeed is able to say the things that Marty feels too uncomfortable to say to Stevie.
Right.
I know that could probably seem a little annoying at times because you would hope that Marty would be able to say what he means and mean what he says, and be able to
Mhm.
stand up for himself. But I just and it's
I feel
surprising to me because a lot of the men on 90 Day Fiance that come from the Middle East are typically very headstrong, and are typically sometimes a little bit controlling, and will definitely put their foot down if they don't agree with something or if they don't want to do something. And Marty is just not that type of guy, and I love seeing that variety in these men that we're
but
seeing on 90 Day Fiance. Once again, I love seeing Marty on this
Mm.
show. And I just wish that he was with a woman who considered his feelings, who considered his emotions, who considered what he's going through. And once again, it seems like just Stevie just does not have a care in the world. And it seems like to me, Stevie just wants to have fun. And I get that. If that's what you want to do, so be it. But it's best that if that's what you want to do is just have fun, then you find someone who wants to have fun with you. Whereas Marty, on the other hand, he seems like he really wants to settle down. He seems like he wants to possibly start a family. He seems like he really wants to grow up. And with Stevie being so much, not so much older, but with Stevie being older than Marty, I felt like Marty thought that Stevie would have more of a mature mindset, which it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like Stevie just wants to have fun. And once again, with Marty not being on that same wavelength,
Mm.
that's going to be an issue for the two of them. Dustin, were you going to say something?
I felt like Marty has to walk on eggshells around her. Uh, that's just how I feel about it. I feel like they have to walk on it. He don't get treated well with her, and I just feel like I feel bad because I feel like that he's walking on eggshells around her. Mm.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Marty. I really do. And the fact that he's over here in America with almost no support. Yes, he has Saeed, and that's great for him to have Saeed on his side. But he has no family or any other friends that are here in America. So Stevie is his only connection at this point where they currently are. So I just feel really bad for Marty, and I hope that maybe in the future we might see Stevie taking some steps to consider him more often. I doubt that that's going to happen, but who knows? Maybe it will. But let's move on to the next couple. The next couple we have is Aaliyah and Sean. So Aaliyah is a trans woman. She's a very beautiful woman. She's 25 years old. Sean is a divorcee. He's a divorced man. He's 62 years old, and he also has children.
Oh, he
When
does.
I
I didn't
first
know that part. I didn't know that.
yes. She actually, Aaliyah actually mentioned that in this particular episode that she met his family in New York, met his kids, and they had a great time. And so, the first time I saw Sean, I immediately just assumed that he was a gay man. When I saw him in the preview for this particular episode last week, I just assumed he was a gay man who was in a relationship with a trans woman. I know that might sound weird to some, but that does happen from time to time. So, anyways, and so Sean and Aaliyah in the previous episode that they were featured in that we did not actually review, they were in touch with a doctor concerning some cosmetic surgeries that she wants to have. She wants to have some type of feminization surgery, maybe with her nose or something of that nature. She's also considered having bottom surgery. I think that's self-explanatory. I don't have to go into any type of detail as to what that contains or what occurs in a bottom surgery. You guys should know what that means. But in this particular situation, Sean is having some reservations concerning this, and so Sean, he's doing the hair. He's a hairdresser. Go figure. He's a hairdresser, and he's dressing the hair of one of his previous business partners. And his business partner seems to know Sean extremely well. And she seems to have Sean's best interest at heart. And I love that. I love to see support on these shows. I love to see the friends that are outside of the relationship on these shows. And she seems to know how Sean operates and seems to be very, very, very connected to Sean's feelings. And she can see that Sean is having some apprehensions about Aaliyah's desire to have these cosmetic surgeries. And she actually ended up asking Sean, well, if she does have the bottom surgery, would you still want to be in a relationship with her? And he actually said that he would consider pulling back the visa and not doing that with her, not being in a relationship with her anymore. Then later on in the episode, they went rollerblading. If someone has never skated before, it's my opinion that you should not start off on rollerblades. You should start off on the quads, on the actual roller skates that have 4 wheels on them, that are 2 in the front, 2 in the back, because that's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to balance. It's a lot easier to manage your footing and things of that nature. But maybe Sean just didn't have that in mind, or maybe he doesn't have any quad roller skates. But anyways, so they're going to the beach. And they kind of have a conversation concerning the cosmetic surgery that she's interested in pursuing. And, she said that she wanted to have the feminization surgery with her face. I think it's something to do with her nose, which Aaliyah looks all woman to me personally. Like, I could not clock her if I did not know that she was trans off the bat. So to see that she wants to have more surgery, that's a little concerning to me. I support anyone who wants to have plastic surgery. Do what you want to do.
Mhm.
I just say be careful in everything that you do when it comes to plastic surgery, and be sure to do your research when you are getting plastic surgery. A lot of people are going to other countries because it's cheaper to get plastic surgery over there, but make sure you do your research if you're going under the knife voluntarily or electively. Um, and she also said that, she's thought about having the bottom surgery, but at this point, she's not interested in doing it just yet. But she said that that may change in the future. And Sean did reveal to her, I'm so glad that he kept it real with her, that if she were to have bottom surgery, he may not want to be in a relationship with her anymore. So, Dustin, what are your thoughts on Sean and Aaliyah? Do you like them as a couple? What are your
I
thoughts on
do.
her?
I do like them as a couple, Jonathan. But I just like that. Hope that she keeps her word, and I hope that she doesn't have too much more surgeries because I can't. I don't think that he would be able to handle um, having her having more surgeries because I think the relationship or the marriage if they do get married, I think the marriage would be uh, off of the table if they do get it if they do get married or they get a divorce because I don't think that he would handle that well. I honestly don't.
I can agree with that. This situation really reminded me of Pose. For those of you who's never seen Pose, it's an FX show, executive produced by Ryan Murphy. I loved it. It had 3 seasons. You can watch it on Hulu. All 3 seasons are available. And in the first season, Electra, one of the house mothers of abundance, or the house mother of the House of Abundance, had a sugar daddy, and she was considering in the first season to have gender reassignment surgery, which is bottom surgery. And her sugar daddy did not want her to have the surgery because he liked the fact that she had an appendage, that she had a penis, and he did not want her to have it removed. And she ended up having it removed, and he cut her off. He said, "Okay, you want to do that? Cool. We're not together anymore." Because when you're in those types of situations, you have to be completely honest and completely open with what you want, because and that's why I was wanting for them, although it's a sensitive subject, I really would like to know what are the parameters of their relationship in the bedroom. Like, does he like the fact that she does have an appendage? Is he attracted to her beauty? Because to me personally, judging from the outside looking in, I really don't see them like as a couple. Like, I don't see attraction between the two necessarily. Like, they just seem like good friends. They just seem like good Judies to me. But if they're in a relationship, I can only assume that they are having sexual relations. But just to me personally, and that's the thing. Like, I got to go back to the earlier episodes, because I'm not understanding the connection between the two as far as the relationship is concerned. But maybe somewhere down the line, or after I watch the first 11 episodes, I'll get a better understanding of their relationship dynamics, and have an idea of how things are going between them. But we'll see what happens in the future, because in the next episode, in the preview for the next episode, Sean did bring up the possibility of a prenup. And I don't know if they're going to have the same situation that Nina and Mark had, where there are some conditions with this prenup, that maybe she doesn't have the surgeries or what. We'll see where it goes from here. But let's move on. Speaking of Nima and Mark. We've got Nima and Mark. Nima's sister Alex is coming over from Paris. I feel like French is like one of the most beautiful languages. And just hearing her speak French throughout this entire episode, and speaking French with her sister Alex, it was just a joy for me to just hear her speak. It's beautiful. I love French almost as I love hearing Spanish, but French is just such a beautiful language. But anyways, so Mark and Nina are showing Alex around, showing them they live in New Hampshire, but so it seems like they were vacationing in Maine, or they were just spending some time. They were spending his birthday in Maine, right? Yeah, I remember now. They were spending his birthday in Maine, and so Alex was questioning, like, there are a lot of trees, or I think it was Nina who was saying that there are a lot of trees in New Hampshire, not really much to see in New Hampshire, and no real like spots to go sightseeing and things of that nature. And Nima does not necessarily seem to be so happy with living in New Hampshire, but that's where
That's right.
Mark wants to live, and that's how Mark wants things to go. And it seems like Mark does have the majority of the control in this relationship. Doesn't
Mm.
seem to be necessarily controlling per se, saying that Nina can't do this or she can't do that. I'm sure Nina has control over the decisions that she makes, but Mark is the one who's holding the balls in this relationship. He's got the money, he's got the citizenship. He's the American, and so I can understand that. But there weren't really necessarily any issues between Nima and Mark, other than Nima just being excited about the fact that her son Clayton and her brother are coming from Paris to be at their wedding. Now, she seems to not be 100% sure that they're going to make it for her wedding. I'm not necessarily sure why she's having those feelings necessarily. I don't know if it's a money issue. I don't know if it's an issue with some type of visa or something of that nature.
It's
I
a
don't know what.
visa. It's a
Oh, okay,
visa.
yeah. So but I can understand that Nima really, really wants her son Clayton, and her brother to be there for her wedding. Alex seems to be one of those types of girls who likes her own space. As soon as they got in the house, Nima wanted to show her around, and Alex is like, "Up, before you go there, I'm sleepy. I need to get some rest. I need to get some shut eye. I'm gonna go to this room, and I'll see y'all tomorrow." So I love Alex. I love the fact that she's supportive of her sister, and Mark seems to be. Excuse me, Mark seems to be an extremely loving guy. Um, and I think he just wants to live the best life that he possibly can. And I cannot fault that. I cannot fault him for wanting to do that. So, Dustin, what were your thoughts on Nima and Mark this episode? I really do like them as a couple. I do see
I like
love
them.
between them, and I love
I
their
do
daughter
too.
too.
I like them, but I hope for Nina's sake. I hope that her son does get to come to her wedding because I think that's a big life changing thing.
Right.
I would love for her family to be at her wedding, because that's important to her, and anything that's important to her is important to me. So I want her to be happy in her wedding. I would want the love and support, you know. So I think that she deserves to have her family at her wedding.
I agree. I agree with that. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here for Nima and Mark. But they seem to be in love. I do see love between them, and they already have a child who their daughter seems like she's already 2 or 3 years old. So they've
Mm.
seemingly been together for quite a while. So that's why I see them as a true authentic couple on this show. But let's move on to our last couple and my favorite man on 90 Day Fiance,
Perfect.
past,
Mm.
present, future. I mean, I just Lord have mercy. Anyway, so Sarper and Shekinah. So Sarper and Shekinah, they go out to eat to kind of go over Sarper's comedy routine and his issues with Dan, Shekinah's friend. And I don't know why. I mean, Shekinah did say that she's wearing these wigs so that it gives her natural hair or her real hair a chance to breathe. And, I get that, but it's just that Shekinah looks a little ridiculous in these wigs. I don't like seeing her in these wigs. I'm sorry. I just don't like seeing it. But anyway, so Shekinah suggests to Sarper that he apologize, or not apologize, but that he talked to Dan and kind of smooth things over because Shekinah feels as though she shouldn't have to give up Dan as a friend. um, I have to say this. When you're in a relationship and your partner has issues with one of your friends, I don't see an issue with you having time apart from that friend. Either time apart from that friend or find a way to resolve the issues that you are having. But I feel as though your partner comes first in any relationship. Your partner should come first, even sometimes even before your family. I feel like your partner should come first. And so I feel as though Shekinah does not care how Sarper feels about Dan. Shekinah is going to have Dan in her life, regardless of how he feels about the situation. And I personally don't like that. But Sarper does end up, meeting up with Dan at a castle. I don't know if this is Dan's castle. I don't know how he's connected to this castle, but he has apparently some type of connection to this castle that Sarper is meeting him at. But anyway, so Sarper
Right.
and Dan have this conversation, and long story short, it goes nowhere. Sarper says that Dan needs to watch his mouth. Dan needs to watch out. Dan is a very lucky guy, and Dan is also a very brave guy to come at Sarper the way that he does. Because I think that Dan is overstepping his bounds a little bit, and he says yes. Shekinah and I did kiss, and maybe we did more just to rile Sarper up, and I did not appreciate this at all because I sort of kind of, liken this to Gino and Matt.
That to Gino and Gino and Matt.
Because it's like, Sarper is clearly the better man. Matt was clearly the better man in that situation with Jasmine and Gino. So like, Dan, you ain't got nothing on Sarper as far as I'm concerned. Like, you can't hold a candle to Sarper. Like, Sarper is more I don't want to go off on a rant, but Sarper is just that dude. Like, Sarper is just that dude. Sarper can tell me anything he wants, and I'm doing it, y'all. I'm doing it. I'm making Sarper happy, honey.
Me too, Jonathan.
And
me too.
Right, exactly. And apparently, I think because Shekinah it seems like Shekinah sort of kind of has Sarper wrapped around her finger. Although Sarper does have control in this relationship, it seems like he takes everything that Shekinah says to heart. And he really does look out for Shekinah's best interest. And I don't see Shekinah doing the same for Sarper. And that is getting on my last good nerve. Dustin, what was your reaction to Sarper and Dan's interaction in this episode? And how do you feel about Shekinah sort of kind of, in a way, suggesting that Sarper talk to Dan and try to figure things out with Dan? Because he's really not going to take Dan out of her life.
As you know, Jonathan, I don't like Shekinah. I don't really like Shekinah because I think that Shekinah don't see where Surfer is coming from. Like I said last week, and I'll say it again. Surfer has left his whole family, and you don't see his issues. You just see what you want to see, Shekinah. You don't want to see what your problem is. You don't want to fix your problem. You think you have you think, oh, the problem is Surfer. No, this problem that I see is you and yourself. So, Shekinah, you need to fix that need to step away from that friendship and concentrate on your husband, or either that or break it off, because you guys are not happy. You guys are not going to, the way this is going, you guys ain't going to be together for the long haul. And I would hate to see you guys break up because of that. So
I personally feel like Shekinah consistently and constantly takes Sarper for granted. Because of the fact that she's in a relationship with him, she's not fearful of him ever leaving her, which I agree with that. I really don't see Sarper leaving Shekinah at all for any reason whatsoever, because, if I were in a relationship with someone like Shekinah and I could tell that, it's sort of kind of her way or the highway, that don't work with me at all. I'm sorry. But, you have to consider me in your decisions as well. And, you have to be considerate of me and my emotions and my feelings. And it seems like Shekinah does not care about what Sarper is feeling or what Sarper, what Sarper's opinions are on these certain things. And so I feel like I wish that there would be another woman who would treat Sarper right, that would come into the picture and maybe kind of whip Shekinah into shape and understand that there's competition out here. And, like, do you not see the man that you are with? And do you not see how fine he is? His beautiful eyes, his beautiful body, his beautiful accent. Do you know how many women out in America, what they would do to be with a man like Sarper? Like, I feel like Shekinah does not appreciate Sarper for what he has to offer her. And she feels like because she's in a relationship, she doesn't have to do right by him because he's with her and he's not going to leave her. And I cannot stand that whatsoever. So I have a feeling that I won't be left feeling good about Sarper and Shekinah by the end of this season. I feel like Shekinah is going to continuously piss me off. And I'm just saying that now so that I don't get disappointed later on down the line when she does do something to piss me off. So there's that. But we'll see what happens in future episodes. Maybe Shekinah will kind of pep up and understand that she needs to appreciate Sarper a little bit more, and show more appreciation for him and what he does for her, because right now it seems like she's taking him for granted, and I hate to see that happen to anyone, but especially for that to happen with a fine ass man like Sarper. And
Yeah.
we'll end it on that. Dustin, why don't you go ahead and give us your social media contacts before we get out of here?
My social media contacts is Dustin Butler Facebook, and my Instagram is Dustin Butler 700. I want to thank you for Jonathan and Tyrone, and thank you for always being here for me, and I always being behind the camera, Tyrone. I do appreciate it very much. And I do want to say I want to say one more thing, Jonathan, if I can.
Sure.
I heard some. I heard some news about Joe Biden yesterday, and I sent the video to Jonathan. He does have cancer, so we're gonna keep him in our prayers. We I would hate to lose Joe Biden. He was our president for 4 years, and I would think that and I think that we would be if we had another Democrat president, we would be in a little bit better place. So I would hate to lose him as pass away due to cancer, but he does have cancer, and we're going to keep our president in our prayers. Thank you, Jonathan, very
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for sending me that information, Dustin, because I was not aware of it before you sent it to me. But yes, Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, does have prostate cancer. I heard that it was stage 4, but I'm not
It
100%
is
sure
stage
if
four.
that's the
It is
case.
stage 4. Hmm.
Okay.
And
Um,
it also spread to his bones as well. So,
yes, it did
uh,
spread to his
mhm.
bones. So, all of my prayers are out to Joe Biden. We all know that the older you get, the more susceptible you are to these types of issues, and I'm just hoping the best for him and his entire family. His entire
Yeah.
family has been through tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and
All
so,
right.
to be honest, this is one of the last things that they really needed. But I'm hoping and praying that they will all get through this, and come out better on the other side. But make
All
sure you
right.
guys follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is JoJo_speaks3020. My Facebook is Jonathan Lee. My email is williamjonathanlee@gmail.com. My Cash App is $ Jonathan Lee 07. That's $ JONATHANLEE 07. Make sure you guys check out my review for RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 10, Episode 3. I posted that earlier this week. I believe I posted that yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you guys check that video out. Also, be on the lookout for my Housewives of Atlanta review that's coming out later on. And Lady Virgo says another great recap, you guys. Thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo.
Thank you, Lady Virgo.
And she also says prayers up for President Biden. Yes, absolutely, prayers up for President Biden. But thank you all so much for joining us rather for this review. Be sure to join me on Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my Hot Topic and Social Commentary show. We always have a lot of fun on Thursday nights. It's always a kiki that I film with my sister Jennifer. And so, yes, that's all that we got for you guys. Join us next week, same time, same place, same beautiful faces. Until then, we'll say bye for now. Hope y'all have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, y'all. Love you guys for watching. Take care. Bye. Bye, guys.